Hey everybody, it's Jillian. So I wanted to respond to the comments that were in the Newton's first law of motion teaches us that an object at rest stays at rest, an object in motion stays in motion. And if your body is in decline and you don't redirect the motion, what's in decline will stay in decline, and the action potential will accelerate the decline. Action potential is in the viruses, the vaccines, and the grid. And so, yeah, there definitely seems to be an intentional act going on to depopulate slash repopulate. And so I wish I could have tagged you in this, but it's okay. Facebook is acting kind of weird. But I wanted to respond to this comment. So far where we stand, so this is what Peter is saying. So far where we stand on this, all of the pros and cons of living on this planet are caused by the same group of reptilian-brained humans who are now selecting those humans who they can allow to progress to the next level of existence, using this medical cover story we know as vaccine science as an alternative to natural selection that arguably never really existed in the first place. The moment when this and comparable occult science were first invented and created. Okay. And then it goes, so I'm going to respond to that. And then I'll respond to the next comment. So in my book, I'm writing about the beginning of time, which is like almost going back to basically back to the Bible, Genesis, when God created heaven and earth. Okay, so the planets formulated through gravity and electromagnetism, and the making of a sun and the remnants of making the sun turned into the planets, and the planets revolved around the protostar, whatever you call it. Okay, and so that's how the planet solar system was formulated. It was through the star collapsing on itself. All the gases, well, not collapsing, all the gases, then the cloud, finally the gravity then forced it to collapse, and then the energy is the star, and then all the excess elements and gases then turned into planets. Okay, so that's from academia. All right, and so I kind of go into that a little bit, and then I go into then what is intelligent life. Intelligent life are the viruses, which then this is where we might diverge as far as our belief system, because God, for some people, God is this almighty knowing thing that I can't even physically really figure out what exactly. It's just something that exists, but there really is no tangible thing. It's a faith. Okay. But then I'm likening God to a virus. A virus is actually data. Data is intelligence. It isn't alive. It's able to replicate based upon the available resources. And what it does, it's just like the human is made up of the microbiome. And the microbiome is viruses, parasites, protozoa, proteins, fungus, and bacteria. And so we start off as a single-celled organism, and then we expounded upon until we became something like an ape or something, or a mammal after the Ice Age, when the Cretaceous period was changed from asteroids and also volcanic disturbances that changed the atmosphere, that then allowed a certain atmosphere like the mammals to finally diversify and then turn into some type of prototype. Now, it's arguable that the Adamic human race were actually put on this earth to then mate with the primates and the hominids that were on this earth, and then there's there's that, and then the viruses and biomanipulation is what increased the evolution of man. So that's my take that I'm going to be putting in my new book, which, yes, is going to conflict with some of the very religious right who don't like that aspect of what God is, because God to them is not a virus, or God to you is not a virus. God to you is something completely different, which I get, because the science out there that people have an issue with seems to conflict with religious faith systems, but actually what I'm trying to do is conjoin the two, that they're actually both one of the same. So this is where, yes, people are going to have an issue with my stuff who are very religious, who don't like science, okay? And I know that. And so I'm not surprised that you're responding to this. And I appreciate it. I mean, it's good to know your thought process. And so then, so that's, so the thing with the vaccinations is like an innovation, okay? And it, like innovation, it is a way to transition. And of course, when something is intentionally released or accidentally released, whatever it is, when there's so much of that innovation, which is activity, which is electricity, which is data, viruses are a type of piezoelectric type of force. Any type of electricity is going to cause action potential. And we have procreated so much on immunocompromised bodies and compromised bodies that at some point, when you've exploited all of man's intelligence within a certain genetic line, and then finally now all the compound predispositions from the innovation are finally catching up to itself, to where now the offspring is glitching. Okay, when the offspring is glitching on its decline downwards, this is why you see so much, not only cancer, disease, and chronic illness, but also highly triggered people. You see crime. You see so many people that are now not able to not only produce, but really be a contributing member of society. And so they're taking more resources than they're able to actually contribute. And so this is what happens when you breed so much of one specific animal or a human, and people say, yeah, well, Earth is so huge. Well, I mean, we have 7 billion people and we have so many areas on Earth. But here's the thing, if you don't have very contributing members that are balanced, all they're going to do is just take up the resources and not find a way to replenish. I mean, people, like, if you ever had an issue with somebody coming into your house and a guest that would never, like the house guest that would never leave, they wouldn't pay any rent, they wouldn't help out around the house, they won't bring in food, and all they're doing is just eating your food, sleeping on your couch, taking up your electricity, and just using. And I'm sure some of you who have kids that do that, and then you finally have to say, okay, now Johnny, you got to pay the rent. Now you got to go, buy some groceries. You got to go and mow the lawn. Okay, that's the same thing when you have 7 billion people who are not really producing at the level that they need to be able to replenish the resources that they take on a continuous basis. And so they've allowed the population to really, really just boom the way it has been. And so in my book, I'm going to talk about, yes, America is the last great experiment. We've gone through the rise and fall of civilizations, no different than the rise and fall of humanity. Why does humanity rise and fall? Because they haven't figured out how to tighten up the back end and balance out the meat in between the front and the back. Okay, we wouldn't have to go on a decline if the body was balanced. If we had bodies that were balanced, not only would they not really want to procreate, but they also wouldn't decline. And so you'd have a very even level existence of people who are not only productive, but they're happy, they're following, living their best life, they're law abiding, they're just, a very well adjusted person who is equally giving as much as they're taking to the system. They're giving more than they're taking, because they got to leave something for somebody else. They can't just take it all. And so the vaccinations are innovation. It's what caused us to be where we are, a first world country. If you didn't have biotechnology, we'd be back in the dark ages where it was strictly Darwinian. What people don't understand is the biotechnology has increased levels of evolution. We've taken it for granted. But there is a reason why America always seems to be the very powerful country. But the reason why we're not so much, we are, but we aren't, is the fact that, yes, we've experimented so much on the population. that we've exploited so many of our resources in the human population within America that now we're seeing another generation of kids who not only have issues, but just feel entitled to everything. And so, yeah, there's conflict with the current generation and them feeling like, them doing things to contribute. And we have the boomers and the Gen Xers who have worked for what they had. Nothing was ever given to them. So there's this conflict. And there's got to be a balance somewhere in between where you're not just working yourself to death and sacrificing yourself for somebody else, but you are now not only enjoying and loving life, but you're not going to be on the decline. And that's where the Jilly Juice comes in, is where we're not going to be, what I'm proposing is that we don't live on the decline. But they haven't figured that out yet in the medical holistic system because people expect to die. A lot of religions expect their flock to die. Okay, so when you're teaching your flock, the people that you are guiding as far as some kind of religious Christian, type of foundation, and you're telling them, oh yeah, prepare for retirement, prepare for the afterlife. That's already then a self-fulfilling prophecy that the reptilian brain is going to have to kick in somewhere, or it's already kicked in, to then go through that baser level type of instinct, because there's no choice when you're on the decline to go revert back to a reptilian brain. But what if we never had to really experience a reptilian brain, except for when someone is very, very young, and then they're being innovated throughout their life, and there's a support system behind that. Okay? And so that's what I'm proposing. But the reason why we haven't gotten there is because people don't want to feel pain. But we have 7 billion people. How do you tell everyone that now, okay, science was great and innovative, but now you have to feel kind of pain to evolve? Now you got to feel pain to be able to get to the next level of evolution. Or we just do a reset and say, forget it. Instead of try to change the minds, the hearts and minds of 7 billion people, of which all have now gone to their different factions, let's just do a reset and give everyone the chance to figure out if they want to live or pass away and evolve or perish. Okay, somebody's going to have to do that reset, or else then there's mass destruction. It's like, there's the black sheep, and then there's all the white sheep, and the black sheep's like, hey, hold on a second, there's too many of us. There's only this much patch of grass left, and we only have a couple of years before we actually eat up that patch of grass. Somebody's got to be sacrificed. We got to oust out the ones that are not producing, whatever that means, in a sheep herd, right? But it's always the black sheep that sees the bigger picture and sees what's going to happen, sees the pending doom if they don't do some kind of changes. And you're always going to be the bad guy, because who in their right mind, well, not in the right mind, who is going to want to listen to someone saying that you're going to have to change your ways, or else something's going to change for you and force you, right? Nobody wants to hear any kind of news that life has to change. Shit, when a kid turns 18, like I was always threatened with, at 18, you're out of the house. I left earlier than that, but that was always being threatened to me. At 18, you're out. You're at 18, you're out. And you're like, holy crap. At some point at 18, you're going to be kicked out of the house. You're going to defend it for your own. And it's something that is like this looming thing. And it's not fun so when that day comes, it's like, sink or swim. Okay. And so that's kind of like what's going on, is you guys are now hearing that mom and dad are telling you at 18, you guys are out of the house. You got to fend for yourself. And yeah. And so some of you are acting like, yeah, the kid that's waiting for 18 to come. And that's D-Day for you, because you've been so used to being fed. And that's the thing with behavioral sync, is that John Calhoun created a very utopian society for a bunch of mice, for like 2,000, 3,000 mice. And then he saw what happens when crowded conditions and different resources were used more than others, and then how biologically they grew differently based upon their surroundings and who they hung out with, and then eventually the mice all died. And so that's kind of why they're probably doing what they're doing, because that was the experiments back in the 1970s on mice, and they can apply that to the human population. When you have so many humans in one area just taking up resources, and then you have, when you have 7 billion to then 14 billion, how many vendors and how many supply chains then have to support 14 billion people? Then you have not only, so now you have like, a radius of like, let's say 10 miles of a centered business center, and then 10 miles out is all the resources. And then you keep, and then as the population doubles, then all of your radius is getting larger and larger as far as taking up resources. And all of a sudden, you're going to see then the whole earth being just used up by that growing central business district that is doubling in population. Think of it that way. Okay? So there's that. And so you can call it occult science, but you exist because of science. Maybe in this whole thing with the whole slaves and back in Genesis and why humans were created to begin with, it could have been an alien. Like I said, aliens have been, people call it demonic. I mean, which this is where people have an issue. Was Jesus an alien? They're like, oh my God, that's blasphemy. So that's what I'm saying, is that you may not really understand where I'm coming from, because I'm coming from the same point of view that you're coming from, but you have a different name for it. Jesus and God are like something that you wouldn't want to apply a word like alien, or you wouldn't want to apply a word like biomanipulation, of which aliens probably did for us to exist. And so viruses, like I said, viruses, they take on the data of one entity and then they go and infect another entity, take that data, so all the knowledge expounds. Just like every year, the last 4 years, I've taken knowledge and expanded upon each knowledge until finally here is my thesis. That's just like a virus, taking knowledge from different places and then evolving the person to where now there's this very higher form of intelligence, of which, yes, we may have gotten some kind of jump and leap in technology because a higher form of intelligence gave us clues on what the real deal is. How not to destroy a planet. Well, don't overpopulate. Well, we're not overpopulated. Just look at your neighborhood. You see just one aspect of the supply chain is just to keep you and your family in existence for at least 80 years. When you actually break it all down, imagine multiplying that and multiplying that. But see, here's the thing. When you reproduce on bodies that are that immunocompromised, yeah, vaccinations have helped people come into existence, despite that Darwin said, no, we don't think you should have really come into existence, but modern man and medicine has allowed you through the vaccinations and biotechnology. So imagine if we still allowed that and allowed people to keep reproducing on compromised bodies. Then you have people that have so much diversity that are not contributing equally, taking up so many resources that eventually, yes, the system will crash in on itself. It already has on some level. I mean, how many more support systems can we create to manage so much diversity? We have enough diversity. I love diversity. It's great. But at some point, there's got to be more people contributing than they are taking. And so someone who has a bigger picture can see how much people are contributing and how many people are taking away. And then Peter goes, resistance to change is, if you translate it fully, is somewhat similar to a question mark. Because the question is, what is changing? The changing is the fact that we're not going to be supporting this crazy decline. When you've seen areas of your city that are just so, like, you have child abuse, you have animal abuse, you have people that live in squalor that really don't care about their neighborhood. There's garbage piled up to here and dog poop piled up to here, and that that don't just take care of their responsibilities and are also not even working. At some point we've got to make a change to the intelligence of humanity. Now it's time to breed out the reptilian brain and bring in some higher form of intelligence, of which then it does take a strong body to be able to handle the intelligence as it expounds over time. So when there's always the same people referring to the most reptilian group, who are practitioners of all the manners of hidden science, as established earlier. These are people that have the knowledge of the past. Not only have the knowledge, but are applying the knowledge of the past, of antiquity. They've seen civilizations rise and fall. That's why all the experiments. Okay? That's why all the experiments. And so when they see the bigger picture, and you're only seeing like one tiny slice of the pie, you're not going to agree with what their hypothesis and then their conclusion, because you're only seeing one part of the pie, haven't seen the bigger picture, and then you're making assumptions from that. And so, yeah, you're not going to understand from someone who has this vantage point of just an overseeing everything from the bird's eye point of view, when you're actually the worm that the bird is looking at. When you're like the little tiny entity out there that is part of the bigger picture, but you don't have access to the bigger picture. You only have access to some parts of the bigger picture, but not the full bigger picture, because of your belief systems, what you choose to put your energy towards, and language has stopped people from really understanding. So yeah, and so I mean, I get where you're coming from in all this, Peter. I really do. You're gonna have to like evolve, or or perish. And if you're doing the J juice, then you're gonna figure it out. You're gonna figure it out. At some point, both brains. Let's see. What are you saying? Oh, hold on. I agree. What I'm referring to is also not getting the memo, and the speed of events disenfranchise some, while others, with foreknowledge of the quote unquote science, are turned into billionaires who then use the often what it refers to as. Well, there's always going to be somebody that's going to be a billionaire. Like your heart is like the most largest functioning member of your body. It's what keeps the infrastructure going in your whole body. But the infrastructure has to be able to support the heart. So there is a quid pro quo. Without the people, or without your infrastructure of your body, the heart will cease to work. So it is a symbiotic relationship. It just happens that one person or a bunch of people have a lot more resources than you do. But then, they're the ones that are kind of pulling the strings of society, finding that middle ground. And so, not everyone's going to get the memo. I mean, how many people have you tried to tell about J juice, right? If you even have, and how many they're like, no, I don't want to hear it, right? I don't believe that. It's stupid. You do, and I do me. You do you, I do me, and all that type of stuff. And so you say, I agree with what I'm referring to is also some of us are not getting the memo. Not getting the memo, and the speed of events, disenfranchising some, while others, with foreknowledge of the quote unquote science, are turned into billionaires who then use the inequality argument, noticeably often when often referred to as the champagne socialists. So what you end up is a kind of de-evolution rather than evolution. Well, de-evolution, evolution is really based upon what you do with what you do with your life. Okay. If you happen to find something that's awesome, that's going to help humanity, and you're able to sell it, and it's able to be integrated into the system, then you could be a champagne socialist at some point in your life too. Some people were born with a silver spoon in their mouth. Other people had to work their ass for it. And you won't know who they are, because some people have this conspiracy that everyone that's a billionaire was given the knowledge and then was groomed for it. And maybe not. You don't know. We can't always assume conspiracy. But I'm just going to say this. No matter what you believe, you will still be the one to steer your own direction. You're going to be the one to figure out whether or not this is evolution or de-evolution for you. Society will remain the same. It'll just be scaled down. It's going to change. Okay, you'll still be able to invent things and sell it on the open market. And if 500 million people love your invention, then guess what? You're a millionaire. Okay, if you choose to work for a corporation that happens to have 500 million that are going to be using this system, then yes, you will benefit from that trickle down type of economics. I guess I can use something like Ronald Reagan. All right, so just, I wouldn't worry about it so much. I wouldn't put too much into it. We have a lot of uninvolved people in our society. I'm tired of getting attacked by the people that don't get my information. I'm sure Bill Gates is tired of being attacked for people that don't understand what viruses are. Okay. And if they choose not to evolve, which, yeah, when you've taught a system, you taught a bunch of people that pain is bad and here's biotechnology, because even turning to roots and herbs and holistic medicine is not the answer when you have bodies that are so compromised that even, a root or an herb or a holistic remedy is not going to work. So at some point, you just got to go and say, okay, back to the drawing board. Let's do a reset, erase everything. Let's start over again. And if, you're being warned and you're given the choice, evolve or perish. And so, yeah, that's the reason why I was on Dr. Phil. How many millions of people saw the Dr. Phil show and how many people freaking attacked me? That's how many reptilian brains are out there that cannot handle the information. So be glad, be thankful that you have this information. Because there's some people out there that you even know are intolerant to your belief system. That you're like, dude, that's a reptilian brain right there. So forget what Bill Gates said, because he's going to be going down with the chaff too. So is Elon Musk. So is even Klaus Schwab. If he's not doing J-Juice, his days are numbered as well. Mother Nature is a balancing force. If you're not actively replenishing your resources in body, mind, and spirit, then you will be on a decline and it will accelerate through action potential. So no matter what, Bill Gates, Melinda Gates, Klaus Schwab, Newsom and Kamala Harris, they're all going to be subject to the same, grid, the same action potential. And yeah, they'll embrace their shortened life and they'll do whatever they do during their lifespan. And then you'll have the benefit, you'll have the privilege of this knowledge. And maybe you are the ones in the future that redirect society in a different way. But at this point, we have 7 billion people who just don't get it. And less than 1%, probably less than a fraction of 1% of 7 billion people understand Jilly Juice. And so we just got to kind of sit tight and just watch how everything goes and plays out and not fight it. Just let it happen. Just let it happen. Okay. So I appreciate the feedback. It's not easy and I get where you're coming from, but I think Bill Gates is onto something. He is definitely, a titan and a pioneer, introducing like viruses, harnessing data from the atmosphere. That's pretty awesome. What you do with it is one thing. Now, doing it like harnessing is one thing. What you do with it is another. Okay. So, use this data, use this information for good, not for evil. And he's just giving you all, this is what it's going to be. And now you have the ability to adapt or, perish. I mean, people believe that you should die, then all they're doing is they're just accelerating your belief system. I guess. No worries, Peter. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, I'm going to do my thing. Thank you all. You guys are awesome. I got work to do. All right, bye.